Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first episode of the Pickle Podcast. It's a podcast where I talk and you listen, but nobody listens. So really, in the end, it's kind of just like a verbal journal for me, not for you. But who knows? Maybe you have that notification bell rung, and you're gonna come here and listen to me for 5 minutes. In which case, you're probably already disappointed. So, I think I'm just gonna talk about whatever comes across my mind. I don't really have anything on my mind right now, but I'm sure there's plenty of things for me to complain about. One thing I've been kind of thinking about today is the Mandalorian. I started that, and they've been telling me to watch the Mandalorian season 2. I watched season 1 on an episode by episode basis for the first season. It was okay, I don't like, so every streaming service is putting out shows one episode at a time. Like, just weekly, they're doing it just like they did on cable, which I hate. I guess Netflix has kind of just spoiled us because they've always done the daily thing. Just all one day they release everything. But now they're changing things. I think the Mandalorian started it. Disney Plus kind of started it because what they're realizing is people will talk about it and put out fan theories much more often if they have to wait a week to get to it. Those nerds who just sit around listening to 20-minute little bits about the Mandalorian's 40-minute episodes, just tearing it apart and mentioning the theories. They get a lot more of that, free publicity if they're holding it a week apart. And then they did that. I'm sure they did it with some other shows. They did it with The Boys, and that was really frustrating. And granted, I was drunk the entire time I watched The Boys, so that might impact my memory. But what I'm finding is both The Mandalorian Season 1 and The Boys Season 2, I hardly remember. And I realized that I didn't really remember The Boys Season 2. And so I was like, okay, maybe I was drunk or it was a weekly thing. Why don't I just watch it again? And so I started, and it's just like as I go, it's like I know what happens, and I remember what happens as I'm watching it. But it's just not super memorable, if that means anything. So it's frustrating. I haven't really seen any other weekly shows. And most of the time, there's only been a few shows I watched on TV. And it's either an anthology like Rick and Morty, or it's like some TV show that I wanted to keep up with that I've been watching for a while, or it's just sorry, there's a little bit of background noise. It's either an anthology or it's a show that I wanted to keep up with, but either way, it's just like I always ended up missing a week or two and then just downloading it later because it's just easier that way. And like, I don't set appointments to sit on my couch. It's just like if I'm there, I'll watch it or whatever. But yeah, it's an old way, and it really bothers me that they're doing that. But anyway, The Mandalorian, I was kind of just like, I don't know. Really, it's just that I have better things to do than watch TV lately. And I'm sure that sounds so pompous and up my ass, but, it's just like, I like video games. I like playing video games with people. I like fucking, so it's just, I do have more interesting things or people to hang out with. But I've been finding, I don't know, I sometimes like how I perceive a show depends on my mood. If I'm in a kind of shitty mood, or it's before 11 a.m. or I'm sober, then I'm gonna like think pretty shitty about a TV show. So The Mandalorian, I just one thing that's really been irritating to me, and just I want to preface this. Sometimes I kind of enjoy hating on something popular that my friends like because it pisses them off, and I do enjoy seeing people get worked up over little things. But one thing that's really annoying is like, I can't remember any of the examples, but they'll make these like idiom. They'll have these fictional idioms or references in the show where they're like, "We're gonna get shot up more than a womp rat and skank pie," and it's just like, "Oh yeah, you will, skank pie womp rat." You guys are getting fried. And they've made like 4 or 5 of these. Or they have this swear word. It's like skank dank, scurv dank. I don't know. But it's basically just like God damn it, but a fictional Star Wars word, which we've never heard before. And it just makes me cringe a little bit. And I'm sure most people, don't have sticks up their asses while they watch The Mandalorian, but I fucking do. You understand? So I'm willing to do that. What the thing I do remember the most of the last season, I think, is just that episode where they were in the space prison and Bill Burr was there. That's what I remember the most. I just got to... Oh, fuck. Spoiler alert. There you go. Rosario Dawson, the brown chick from the first couple seasons of Daredevil. The one that quit Daredevil because Daredevil was just so fucking boring. Rosario Dawson. She's playing Ahsoka Tano. And it's just like... all I remember of her is like being like, hey, she has pretty big tits in the Daredevil show. And then I also saw she has a full frontal nudity scene in some movie. I don't even know how I found it. I was probably drunk and looked up pictures of her tits and then found that. But yeah, so it's just like me and friend Nick. It's like he's just like, yeah, Ahsoka's in this, and I was like, oh yeah, she's played by Rosario Dawson. He's like, oh yeah, that's the chick you showed me your tits. I was like, yeah. She's like 40 something, and I'm like, oh, cool. 40 something, 50 something. What I've noticed is like, they say that guys are attracted to older women who are attractive because they see like more motherly qualities in them, and it's just like that. That's supposed to signal that they're great for mating because they, are fucking older, I guess. I don't know. Big titties, big fucking fat packs on their chest. Anyway, what I've seen is like Rosario Dawson. I'm pretty sure she's in her 40s. I could Google this. Rosario Dawson and Salma Hayek. They are both pretty old, I think. Let's see here. Age. So she's 41. That's not too bad. There's plenty of hot 40-somethings. Okay, so maybe I could take that back. There's her, and then there's like fucking Salma Hayek, who I'm pretty sure is 54, 56. 54. They're both, maybe I shouldn't say this. I know Salma Hayek is Mexican. The other one, let's just assume is Mexican. And also Sofia Vergara, she's 48. They're all these like Latina chicks, and they are all incredibly attractive to me. Super sexy, just fucking specimens. And I've seen all of their butts. Okay, I haven't seen Rosario Dawson's butt, I don't think, but I've seen all of their, one part of their sexy spots. And I wonder how that works. People like black people always like to say, oh yeah, black people, we age better because, or okay, one black person said this and she's super black, but they always like to say that they age better. And I guess, I don't know, maybe they just assume it's because they don't stress out about little things like white people. I don't know. I don't really know. They always say that, but I wouldn't expect Mexicans and Latin American. I'm getting a little racy here. Hold on. Deep breathing. We'll just stop that right there. Funny story about Salma Hayek. One time I was at dinner with some work friends at I used to work in a retirement home, and I was talking. I was like, "Hey, have you guys seen how fucking hot Salma Hayek is?" And they kind of just ignored me because, it's common for me to just want to talk about beautiful old women, which is funny considering we work in a retirement home. But, the older the better, I guess. I was, talking about how, like, I definitely fucked that. And this fucking jock strap, ugly looking motherfucker You know, Mr. I've had sex with dozens of women. Fucking dude. He goes, I would not fuck that. No way. And I just shown everyone pictures. Like, she's a babe. I don't know if you know who she is. Salma Hayek. She's very attractive. I'm trying to think of something she's been in. She was in that movie where she does the strip dance with the snake around her neck. She's in a lot of comedies. Anyway, I think she's more popular in the 90s. He was like saying that he wouldn't fuck her, and I was like, what the fuck? Why not? And his answer was, you don't know how many dicks have been in her. I'm like, oh, I see the kind of dude we got here. Okay. I just thought that was so dumb of him to say. So, like, if the amount of dicks matters to you, if the amount of dicks that have been in a girl matters to you when you're going about fucking her, is there a certain amount that's okay? Is there, like, on your first date when you're thinking about fucking them, do you ask them, like, hey, so what's your body count? You know, not that it has anything to do with this. And then she's like, you know, she gives you a hot 7. You're like, what? Do you do that? Or 7 is okay. It's once you get up into the 10s, that's just a little too much. I don't get that. So I started, of course, asking him if he only fucks virgins, because if you want to be the best of the best, you only fuck those, you know, cute 17s. And so he saw where I was going. He just kind of looked at me with this, like, kind of, not even smug, just this, like energetic kind of smile. I don't know. His fucking mouth was flat, and he had his eyes a little bit kind of squinted. Maybe you could call it a slight glare, like a happy glare. That's what he had at me. I thought that was so funny. Fucking jerk off. Fuck that guy. Anyway. Yeah, back to The Mandalorian. Ahsoka Tano, she's in that. And I was just like, I'm really... as I've gotten a little older, because, you know, let's look. A year ago, I was obsessed with watching Clone Wars. And I didn't finish it because I'm a lazy fuck. I think I got to season 5. I don't even remember how many seasons there are. I got to there, and, you know, Ahsoka just kind of annoyed the fuck out of me. A lot of the characters did. One thing I'm noticing about TV shows, because I've been rewatching Lost with Destiny, my young lady, and it's like sometimes I've noticed that characters are pretty inconsistent in that show, but that was a big network show, and so, like, you know, they probably had a lot of different writers trying shit out there and producers, and, you know, it's really hard to make this connection. It's kind of weird, but in Israel they did a study where they found that, like, if like in probation hearings, judges were like 60% more likely to give probation out, to let people out early for good behavior if they had just eaten a meal. Where if they did it 4 hours after eating a meal, then I'm talking like very small chance of you being set free. They usually just threw you right back in jail until they had a meal. I thought that was super interesting, and I'm wondering if, like, in the writer's room, if they don't get the refreshments, like, if they'll just make, you know, fucking Saeed be in a bitchy mood for the whole episode and whining about some stupid little survival aspect that really has not that big of an impact. Or if they'll just, like, intentionally throw in plot holes because they don't give a shit because they haven't had their fucking apple with their granola bar for the morning. I don't know. I thought that was funny, but anyways, it feels like characters are kind of inconsistent in TV shows. I haven't noticed that too much with The Mandalorian, but you know, a lot of that it's made by Jon Favreau, which also there was an episode that was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, which she's the discount Jessica Chastain. She was in not Jessica Chastain, fucking Bryce Dallas Howard. She was in Jurassic World. She was in she was like just the bitch, the fucking female romantic character, the hottie. I remember when I first watched Jurassic World, I watched it in theaters, and I had just snorted like 3 morphine, and I went in there, and right when I got home, I went straight to my room and looked her up and just jerked off to her. Yeah. Anyway, she directed an episode, and I was like, she wasn't even in the show. Like, why did she I don't know, maybe she's just friends with Jon Favreau or something, but I just thought it was so weird that she just come direct one episode of The Mandalorian. You know, she's interesting. She was in Black Mirror season 1, and she gained like 30 pounds to play this character in one episode. And this episode was like, it was like what China's doing now, kind of, except it was a lot more vain. It was like you get a social media score, and everybody rates you when you interact with them in person. So it's like, if you don't have the best of the best manners when you go to order a coffee, then they might give you a low rating. Or if you like sit with your legs a little bit uncrossed, and you know someone sees a little bit too much thigh and they're conservative, they can give you a low rating. Pretty much everything and anything you do can give you a lower rating, and it impacts like your marriage, your diets, your mental health. Every aspect of your life starts to center around this social media score. And I guess she just gained 30 pounds for the role. And from what I remember of the episode, I don't think her weight ended up having anything to do with the episode. I guess it was just the character she was playing. It was super weird. Like, maybe she just wanted to gain weight, but she didn't want to deal with like the fucking paparazzi going, "Hey, guess who ate too many sandwiches yesterday?" And so she just like was like, "Oh, they need a fat girl. I'm doing it for a role. That's why I ate ice cream for a week straight." That's what I would do. We're going to take a short break. All right. I am back. How about a good subject change? So, like, I'm super fucking broke. Like, ridiculously broke. I'm recovering from only getting 15 hours a week for 2 months. So, I'm behind on a lot of bills that I am now paying. I got my first check more than $480 the other day for $520. And that wasn't even, because I moved up to about 38 hours a week now. And so I got that first big check, and immediately fucking 300 of it went to Verizon because they didn't have service. And then 200 of it to my phone bill, or not phone bill, sorry, car insurance. And so I have like $18 in my bank account. And then I got my tire replaced on my car, which costs, I think it was $240. And so I'm gonna, like, I couldn't pay that yet. So I had my mom just send it to me, and I'm gonna pay her back over my next 2 paychecks, which is just such a fucking train wreck. So I'm already going to be short in those ones. And so what I do usually is I go to BioLife. And BioLife is a plasma donation place. I go and fucking pump the machine full of my blood. It spins around the blood, takes out the plasma, and then puts the blood back in me. And then fills me up with saline, freezes my ass off. And then they send me out the door. Well, during these trying times, this pandemic, they're kind of loaded with people. I mean, a lot of people. Like, and it's super inconsistent. Like, sometimes I'll go in on a Tuesday or a Wednesday at 1 in the afternoon, and it will be fucking packed. Packed, dude. Like, the whole parking lot. I used to go before COVID, and it was never packed. There was like, it was probably a 15, 20 minute wait, maybe. That's like on a bad day at a bad time. Now it's like that. It's like that, or sometimes it'll be a short wait. And I'll go in at 2 o'clock, which is usually the busiest time. Or 11 o'clock, that's also a really popular time. I'll go in at one of those times, and it'll be super empty, and I don't get it. Sometimes it'll be on a fucking Friday like that. And it's just like, you know, I would think Fridays are the days people go in there. They want to go out drinking that night or some shit. And it's good money. Like, I can make $420 a month off of it, which is like a whole paycheck. And now I'm really beating myself up because today I just wasn't feeling it. I go in there. It's packed as fuck. and they reduced the benefit, so instead of $30, I'm getting $20, and I know I can make it till Monday. I could just go in on Monday. I'm not even gonna spend the fucking money, and I don't need it for, until rent time, which is 2 weeks away. And I didn't feel like it, and so I kind of just did the thing where I clocked in for it, and I stood in line for 35 minutes, moved only one space, and was like, this is fucking shit. And there are 2 lines, and they just recently extended the first line so that it goes around a whole fucking wall so they can fit 9 more people in this stupid line. And so I moved one space. They have one person standing there pricking people's fingers, because before you can donate, they have to prick your finger and make sure you're not fucking full of herpes or some shit. And so I'm standing in this stupid fucking line. I move one space, and finally I look around the corner to see how the second line is doing, because the second line is for people who already got pricked and they're just waiting for a seat. And by the way, a donation takes about an hour and a half, honestly, because it takes forever to unplug you. And so I look around that corner, and they've now put seats in every 6-foot stamp on the floor. They moved all of the beds out of there that people usually donate plasma on. They moved them all out of there to make a whole waiting area out of one section, and it was completely full. I kid you not. I counted 11 people in that line and 7 people in the line in front of me. So I was waiting for 18 positions, and I had only moved one in a half hour. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And I started thinking, like, okay, well, what can't I do here that I can do at home? And I was like, well, all I'm going to do is watch TV anyway, so who gives a shit? But then I was like, yeah, but there's people here, and I have to constantly look around and see if I need to move forward, and I know I'm going to get caught checking out some girl's ass or any part of her, and then, there's always the possibility I'm going to make accidental eye contact. Then I'll have to go to the bathroom and ask someone to cover my spot and not let anyone take my spot, which just makes me feel awkward. And then it's just, I could just be laying down in bed, not sleeping, just laying there. It would be so nice. But I was getting angry in my head. I was getting frustrated because BioLife is always fucking like this. Always. And I get that everyone's fucking broke and we can't get a stimulus check, but Jesus Christ. You know what I read the other day? Hold on. I was reading about the eviction moratorium. You can't get evicted right now for the next 2 weeks. Fuck my life. And, I was reading about Washington because I wanted to know if we had different rules, because sometimes Jay Inslee removes the dildo from his asshole. And so I was looking into it, and it was like the Olympia Times or whatever was interviewing some bitch of a family of 5 fucking kids. Jesus Christ, she's in her late 20s. She's 28. Her husband was in his 30s. I know that. And she was giving this sob story, and the whole point of the article was like, "Oh my God, look, we need eviction moratoriums. Look what's gonna happen." And so the pandemic hit, and she's like, "Yeah, none of us have jobs, and we're all stuck in this apartment, and pretty soon we're gonna get kicked out. We just don't know what we're gonna do." And then if you keep scrolling through the article and read the rest of the interview, she's like, "So the pandemic hit, and my husband quit his job so that he could help take care of me and the kids." It's like, whoa. The pandemic hit, and this guy had a job, and he quit it? What? To take care of the kids? Haven't you been doing this for apparently 3 to 5 years? If you have 4 fucking kids? Sorry, it's not a family, or it's not 5 kids, it's a family of 5. I don't know if I made that clear. Fuck you, dude. You lazy fuck. I bet all you do is just play fucking Call of Duty and video games all day. I'll bet that you've gone through 4 jobs in the last year, and you're just looking for, some reason to not go into work. And you probably are too stupid to have fucking generalized anxiety disorder, so you don't even have any protection for yourself when you do that kind of shit. You quit your fucking job to take care of your 3 kids with your own wife? What did you think was going to happen? Oh, I don't have to pay rent, so I guess I'm not going to pay rent anymore. You know what happens after the eviction goes up, the eviction moratorium? You have to pay back all the rent you missed. It's just a temporary thing. They want to make you homeless. They're just choosing to do it at a more convenient time. Same with the electric companies. If you don't have a job, you're not paying your electric. You're not paying your power. You're not paying your water if you need to. I hope to God you're not in the house. No, you wouldn't be in a house. You'd probably be in a apartment. But still, you're so fucking stupid. And I don't know how offensive I'm willing to get on this podcast. But I will say in my head, I'm imagining a person. Never mind. He can't be a very bright person. You know, he's the type who fucking gets his wife pregnant 3 times in their 20s. Your IQ doesn't dip much lower than that. It's so stupid. I don't understand how people can't do that. I've never, ever had problems with condoms. Never. Sure, okay, I do it raw if she's on birth control, okay? That's I'll do it then. But otherwise, there's always a condom. Sometimes maybe, I'm really into it and I just slip it in for a little bit, right? Just for a little bit. Just, I miss it, blah, blah, blah. It's a nice feel. But I never do that for more than a few seconds because, I got a short fuse, bub. But also, I'm not about to get pregnant. And so I always, the condoms sit right next to my bed. It's just how it is. So I never had an issue with that. And I could go to Costco, pay, $13 for 40 condoms. That'll last me months. So it's really not that big a deal. But some idiots either just don't have the foresight to prepare for sex because they have a spontaneous kind of lifestyle, or they're just fucking lazy, or they're horny and lazy. Either way, I don't get it. And poor dumb people are the most likely to do this shit. I don't get why people have such a problem, because I have no problem with it. There was one time where I forgot that I wasn't wearing a condom after screwing around, but she had literally gotten off birth control, or she wasn't even off birth control. It's because she had missed her pill, and it was it wasn't like she'd been off birth control and I was just screwing around and I was half drunk. And it's oh yeah, I forgot that you forgot to take your pill 2 days in a row, so oopsies. And even then, when I came, it was just that first spasm, so probably nothing even got in there. Yeah. Condoms. When I was a kid, I heard that a teacher at my sister's high school strangled a girl and went to prison. He strangled her with a condom. I guess he just put it over her head and held her down. He went to prison. He was just a teacher at a high school. Although this was a small town, Kashmir, Washington. They say it's got a population of I think it's 80K. But it's it's way out in the woods, so it probably has a huge city limit. So you can't really take that seriously. Hold on, snack break. Yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about. By the way, I got ADD. It's really hard for me to keep track of my conversations or where I'm going. It's just the constant roller coaster of my my brain just lighting up like a Christmas tree in different parts. It's just bam, 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 new idea, thing this reminds me of. But there was one story, and it's really hard for me to tell stories long. I used to be good at it, but I'm with a young lady who, she can't be a listener, but when she's on her phone, which is a lot of the time, she can't listen to me. And so I've learned to tell it in short form. But I remember, and this feels like a dream sometimes, just because of how weird of a situation it was, and also it was a few years ago. But I was sitting in the ER for some really bad back pain. I was just chilling in there. I was alone. And in the one next to me, this lady, there's a curtain separating us. Finally, the doctor comes in. She had some, weird pain. and they ran a blood test or something, or a urine test, and they found out that she had an STD. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't chlamydia. It wasn't one of the simple ones that everyone knows about. It was like a weird one that I hadn't heard of. But it's surprisingly common, very easily treatable. It hardly affects your health. It's just, you don't want to give people STDs. And so, the dude told her, and she's been on the phone with her boyfriend this whole time, and she had no idea what was going on. And granted, this STD was completely unrelated to this weird random pain she had. I can't remember the pain, but I remember it was like a physical thing that an STD wouldn't cause. So he comes in there and he's like, yeah, you have an STD. It's very easily treatable. You take these pills for a week and you're good. It's all bye-bye. And her boyfriend's like on the phone, but I think she had him on mute. And she's like, what? How could this happen? Huh? And the details are a little bit vague. I remember she gets back on the phone with him. And she's talking to him. And she's like, he says I have an STD. And he was like, what? You have an STD? He sounded like such a snarky motherfucker. Like, he sounded like the type that was like, he was just dumb, passive-aggressive. I don't know. It's like, where he just asks these outright questions as if he's being scary, but also simply curious, but in a mean way, kind of like, oh, well, how did you get that, Shannon? How would you have gotten an STD? I don't understand. Kind of like that. And she was like, I don't know. But it was definitely obvious that he was kind of like sus. He was like, he was implying that there must have been some way that she got an STD. And he was like, well, how could you get this unless, And she was like, I don't know. Here, do you want to talk to the doctor? And he was like, yeah, I would like to talk to the doctor. So she goes out there. She like pops her head out of the curtain and calls for this fucking doctor. And the doctor comes in, and she's like, "Hi, so how do you get this STD?" And he's like, "Well, and he sees that she's on the phone, and he's like very stuttery and slow with his words, and like he has to think about everything. And it was definitely like it went from being a routine thing for him to okay, wow, I gotta be careful here, and so. He's like explaining to her that it's a STD, sexually transmitted. It's really not that big a deal, and she shouldn't worry, as if worrying about the symptoms was the issue here. And he's explaining it to them, and she's like, "Well, is there any other way I could have got it?" And he was like, well, you can. I guess you could." You could have gotten it from a cat. Do you have a cat? She's like, oh my gosh, I do have a cat. And she's like, honey, see, I told you we gotta start washing our hands after we touch the cat. I was just over there like, this was the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Like, this doctor was 2 sentences away from breaking these fuckers up or ruining the next 3 weeks of their lives. And so he was like so nervous and quiet about it. And so I looked up the damn STD. I wish to fuck I could remember what it was. And I like start looking around. It's definitely an STD. Like, it's mostly sexually transmitted. But this website said that very, very rare cases, touching cat shit and then touching your pussy, you could get it. But it's very rare. And the article made sure to say it is really rare. And, like, for that to happen, I just had in my head, like, what if she just pet the cat and immediately after touching its paw just stuck her finger in her pussy? Like, what the fuck? And, oh yeah, also the doctor had to treat the boyfriend too. Because she had an STD, so therefore he probably also got an STD if they're having unprotected sex, which if they were, they deserve it. But, maybe. I don't know. So, where was I? Yeah, so she like starts going off on him about cat litter, and this website said that it's super rare. Hold on, I'm gonna Google it. Okay, I think I found it. Took me like 15 minutes, but Trichomonas vaginalis. I remember it was a weird long name like that I didn't recognize, and I do recognize my STDs. Something like that. And I guess trichomoniasis is it's only become common within the last century, or not century, 1,000 years. I don't know. It started with artificially inseminating cattle. Basically, they would, I guess, jerk off cows and put it in the lady cows. Much like a sperm donor clinic. And basically doing that, somehow it started facilitating the spread of this virus, it went from cattle to other animals, and it made its way to cats in some very rare cases. And so basically when a cat takes a shit, this virus can spread through their feces. And I guess if you were to, change the cat litter or touch the kitty's paws, a rare cat's paws, and then not wash your hands, and then go diddle yourself in the bedroom, you could give yourself this sexually transmitted infection. I might be wrong, it might be a different one, but it was something like that, and remember it had to do with shit. And so, but they say this is very, very rare. It hardly happens. It's much more likely that she was fucking around on other dudes. Something like that. And she just never told her boyfriend, who, if you heard this guy fucking interrogating her, it sounded like he was looking for a reason to be able to get mad at her. And she's just generally annoying to him. But, they don't want to be alone, so they're never going to leave each other, etc., etc. Anyway, I thought that was so dumb. I'm sorry I'm eating. I am starving. And I'm just eating Destiny's food. Alrighty. Let's talk about Cyberpunk. Now, I'm not much of a gamer nowadays. I stopped gaming back in February when I got myself a young lady. However, I recently lost that young lady for a while. And so I just got into video games, so I never had to face my feelings. And I started getting games again. I got Cyberpunk 2077. I got Doom Eternal on here. Played some Age of Empires. A lot of stuff. I've been playing a lot of games. And I got Cyberpunk. And right when I started playing it, it was weird. My 1070, which isn't... It's a pretty okay card. I've never played a game where I can't run it on max settings at 60 FPS. I can't play anything at 4K above 40 to 50 FPS, except for some games, I guess. But usually it does fine. It's a perfectly formidable graphics card. It didn't run Cyberpunk very well at all. I was getting, 30 to 40 FPS on ultra settings. And I was like, wow, this brand new game. Finally, games are outgrowing my graphics card. Gee willikers. Which, my graphics card was way above the recommended specs. A good amount. So, that was weird, and it's just the game was super laggy, and I felt really frustrated about that because I am a fucking graphics freak. I love the best graphics. And Cyberpunk is so glossy looking and shiny, and it's got these popping colors, and all the cars are pretty. I wanted the best of the best, and it really frustrated me that the only way I could get 60 FPS was on medium settings, sometimes low depending on where I was, with the volumetric fogs turned off, all the camera effects, a couple other settings that apparently just tank performance. Even on these 3090 RTXs, if you don't have DLSS, some AI shit enabled, then you will not be able to even play at 4K, which a 3090 should be able to handle most shit at 4K. It's just fucking ridiculous. And there was that, and then there's tons of bugs with the game, shit happening, which I found many times I had to either restart the game or just start it because it crashed. Like, it was just fucking up all over the place. And then going out in the open world, I'm only, 20 hours in, but, like, there's nothing to do. I can go kill gangs, which I guess I'm doing it for the NCPD, the Night City Police Department, but I don't think I get a money reward from it. And the guns I get are just what I would find just doing a regular mission. I haven't done any side quests really yet, so I can't speak to that. I can go kill, what do they call them? A cyber psycho or something like that, which is just basically a mini boss fight wherever the fuck. I find that a lot of the times I'll drive up on baddies, start shooting them while they're patrolling, and they'll just stand there and let me kill them. Like, they don't do anything. And it's just like I'm seeing all these issues, and it's just another fucking game that I was mildly excited for, and I threw $60 at, only to find out that it was a piece of shit. And the worst part is, like, oh, I hate that I did this, but I watched a lot of reviews because I was excited. Most of them were very positive. They were like, oh, it's a great game. You just have to deal with some bugs. They didn't hurt me too much. And I watched, like, IGN, this fucking Asian dude, a couple other dudes, and they all said that the game was pretty alright. 8 out of 10, pretty okay. And you see the graphics, and I didn't even know, this is how stupid I am. I didn't even know the gameplay they were showing was all stock footage. Basically, the company knew that if they let reviewers show what the original Xbox version would look like, they wouldn't sell as many copies. So they had an embargo on new footage. So you could only show what was shown at E3, which of course was ran on a beefed up fucking computer farm. It was probably scripted, honestly. It was just like a big load of fucking horse shit. And so they only showed that, which is just so dirty in of its own. And so I didn't realize that this was all stock footage. I'm like, wow, this game looks great. Wow. Cool. And so I just went with it and got it. And now it's just like I was sold another shitty broken game that's not finished. And it just feels shitty. It makes me lose a little more faith in the system. And I didn't even have any to begin with. I should have expected this. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. I have amnesia, not faith. And it's like, same with like fucking Sea of Thieves. I threw $60 at a game that was super fucking boring. It's like most games that I end up buying within, a week or a month of them coming out end up boring the fuck out of me. Except like Borderlands was really good. I still play Borderlands, dude. Borderlands is a lot of fun. And that was a great game. The story sucked, and it was basically just more Borderlands 2, which, wasn't bad, but it wasn't like great either. It didn't change the series substantially, but no one expected it to do that. It's called Borderlands 3, not Borderlands new round of death shit. And they didn't, oh, you have jetpacks now. They weren't looking to fucking overhaul the series, I don't think. Which I kind of, it was in development for 8 years, so it would have been nice. But whatever. It wasn't bad. What really upsets me is like the free games and the cheap games are the ones that are pretty much always the best now. It's like fucking Call of Duty Warzone or Ark. I've been hearing a lot about Ark. Or fucking like Stellaris, Rocket League. Any of those games are so much better. What's even better than that is a lot of shit is on Game Pass. A lot of really fun games that you can play with friends and aren't that, hard to get into. Those are on Game Pass, which is really nice. I'm playing like $9 a month for Game Pass for PC, and I'm getting lots of fun games. I've been playing Age of Empires, which I used to play when I was a kid. It's a lot of fun. And it's just like, what's the point of playing these huge new titles? There's a new one all the time. They all kind of are starting to look the same. You know, at this point, I can't tell if it's an Ubisoft or some Japanese developer, or you know, whatever. They're all just these either dark, gritty looking ones, or these super glossy, poppy ones, or just super colorful. I don't know. People always want me to play like 2D platformers, but I just, I don't know. 2D games. I guess I'm just cool for 2D. Anyway, I'm getting tired. This was my podcast. This is what I do now. I enjoyed it. I'll probably never do it again, but I will post this. So peace out, man.